Hi there, this is Ronnie. Thanks for watching the video and following the channel if you are. This video is about whether I am transphobic or not, or what that even means or whatever. So I've shared a few things on Facebook uh, around the kind of transgender thing, and it's something I've looked into a little bit. I can't remember when it caught my attention or when exactly I sort of become interested in it. But what happened recently was a video was put up that caught my attention, and in it there was a doctor who was talking about a trial that's going on in the US right now, a study, and he was talking about there was participants. This is some kind of transgender study, and there was girls as young as 13 years old having their breasts removed, mastectomies at 13 years old. There was other girls in the study who were 14 and 15 and stuff like that. And he played a clip of the doctor that's sort of in charge of the whole thing. And the doctor said, and the doctor was a woman, and she said, well, if they change their mind, it's not like you can't just go out and get breasts again, which is like a completely crazy thing to say, especially for a doctor to say that, and especially for a female doctor to say that. You think, well, surely you understand it's not the same thing. For me, there is a lot of worry and stuff coming out of the transgender sort of idea, and when I posted that online, I was basically saying, you know, a lot of my friends are saying, well, it's none of your business, it's not your body, so why do you care? Well, I just think that's showing complete apathy, complete lack of any kind of respect or care or compassion for other people, in this case, children. And they are children if you're 13 years old. So I'm kind of amazed in a way that a lot of people are standing back saying nothing because they don't want to be attacked or don't want to be called bigots or transphobes or whatever. And this kind of stuff is happening, and this is really happening because a lot of people are saying, you're just making this up, this is just transphobic kind of propaganda. It's not. It's not. This is information that is like out there of a real trial. So but yeah, I've been called transphobic. A lot of people are attacked. A lot of people are trying to find out, are trying to expose me as like hating trans people and stuff like that, hating people, being some kind of a bigot, as I say. So there's a couple of people that are doing that. So I thought I might as well come out, share my own ideas, opinions about this. So I don't know when I first kind of encountered this stuff, but I remember my dad worked with a guy who one day turned up and was wearing a dress and high heels and stuff like that, and he was going to live as a woman and going to change to transgender woman. And I worked with a transgender woman for a while, a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Very vulnerable person, it seemed. Took a lot of time off because of stress. Didn't seem to be really capable of doing the job. I'm not sure why. I think they felt kind of stressed all the time. Potentially had a lot of other mental health issues going on. I don't really know exactly. That was a man that was had changed to a woman, and it's kind of sad to me, I guess, because obviously he was a man, right? So it wasn't like people. It was obvious that he was a man that transitioned that was dressed as a woman, right? Big man hands and big man's face and all that. So I don't like. He was never really going to be able to pass for a woman very easily. And I think there are some people that can pass a lot easily, but some people it's a bit more difficult, I guess. But I didn't really get to know him, her well. I don't really think that a lot of trans women are looking to have friendships with straight men. I don't know. So I don't know. It's not a common thing, I guess. And I also had a friend of mine who was a girlfriend of my ex. No, who was the ex-girlfriend of a really good friend of mine who I spent a lot of time with. And I spent quite a lot of time with this woman, and she once messaged a lot of her friends and said that she wanted us all to call her a different name, and she was in the process of going towards being a man. And I think it must have been really hard for her to do that and to make that decision and contact everyone. But in that moment, the thing that was prevailed with me was the feeling that she was not a man. I know that sounds really bad now, you're saying that's unfair, you don't know what's going on in their head, but the thing with her was she always wanted to be one of the boys. There's a lot of girls that want to be one of the boys or whatever, but she really wasn't. So this was always a clear thing with me, like she might think she identifies with men or whatever, but she's not a man. She's not masculine or has a manly personality or communicates in a male way or anything like that. So when she kind of said this, it kind of made sense in a way because of how much. But the immediate thing in my mind was how her mother was a tyrant. Like she was really badly treated by her mother. I don't know if abused is the right word. Bullied, maybe. And she hated women. She actually didn't really have a lot of female friends. She was very kind of, I don't know, scared of women. She was very apprehensive of women and much more comfortable with men. And I think that was part of her confusion, maybe. Anyway, she never went through with it. But it was kind of surprising to me, like, how can someone get so far through that process without someone just saying to them, you're not a man? You know? And I think it's like unkind to say that or something. But surely there is some test or something that you can do and say, right, this person is male. And maybe that's why she stopped going. Maybe they did. Maybe they recommended that to her and said, well, you're not really showing a lot of signs that you would be more comfortable as a man or whatever. So these are the kind of experiences I've had with that. I've personally never had a desire to cross-dress, or I hate all that stuff. When I see people dressing up as men, dressing up as women and stuff. In England, for some reason, like in Scotland we get a lot of English TV shows, and English people, it's almost like, and my English friends are probably going to laugh at this, but it's almost like there's not an English comedy show without men dressed as women. It's like it has to be a part of it. I think English people can't quite enjoy themselves unless there's a man dressed as a woman somewhere in a TV show. And, you know, I've never enjoyed that. I've always hated seeing men dressed as women. There's a thing at the Woodstock Fruit Festival where some of the guys dress as women. And I kind of admire their bravery for doing that or something. But it's I hate seeing that. I hate seeing that kind of stuff. So maybe this is part of. Maybe I just don't like seeing men dressed as women. Maybe that's my problem. But I don't get any kind of kick out of that. And but the main thing. But I don't have any problem with people doing that. Like I've got no desire to make someone else feel uncomfortable about what they want to do. Right. I don't want to get in someone's way if they want to identify as a different gender, but there's all these problems that occur as a result of this, and my main objection is not really to people being trans or feeling like they're another gender or not being comfortable in their body. My main issue is that if the person is looking for help with that and looking for that problem to alleviate, is that the main option that's being offered to people now is, well, not the main option, but the most publicised option, I guess, is for them to go through hormone treatments and have gender reassignment surgery if they want. And it seems like a lot of people are saying, a lot of people have this thing like, oh, they need to go through major psychological testing before they go through this. I'm not sure how thorough this testing is, because there's still a lot of transgender people that have went through these operations that have committed suicide. This is something that's fairly well known, that the suicide rates among trans people are higher than the average member of the population, and that's pre-operation and post-operation. And it doesn't matter whether the person is easily identified as trans or not, by which I mean, for example, the person that I worked as was obviously a man, dressed as a woman. The person, but if a person was not so easily identified and no one suspected that they were a man or a woman dressed as a man, then they still suffer. They still are likely to have a higher rate of suicide or attempted suicide than other members of the population. This might suggest that, for a start, the gender reassignment surgery doesn't really help them with their problem, and the hormone treatments don't really help them with the real crux of the problem. And it also would suggest that there is mental health issues going along with whatever the trans part of it is. Also, there is more and more people coming out who have regretted their trans reassignment and have detransitioned. They've tried to go back, and a few of them, basically, if you've seen interviews of some of these people, they've said that they were very uncomfortable with who they were. They started to identify as a usually it was men to women, started to identify as a woman, felt more comfortable, but they still had this feeling like there was something not quite right, and they were convinced that gender reassignment surgery was really the only solution. And when they did the surgery, a lot of them said that as soon as it was finished, that they came out of it and that they realised almost instantly, some of them, that they shouldn't have done it, and that it wasn't right, and that it wasn't going to take away their problems. Now, I don't know if there's some people, there might be a lot of people that that's not the case, but that's another thing. The other thing what we're seeing now is the idea spreads. It's like a contagion. If this was just something that people kind of had naturally, like you would have a certain percent of the population would have it. What's happening is clusters of people are going trans, like in schools and things like that. If one person is trans, there's likely to be a whole bunch of friends around them that also start to become trans all of a sudden. So it's a contagious idea. It spreads in an unusual way. Especially now, there's a lot of YouTubers that are putting this information out there, and obviously, if you've transitioned, you probably want to talk about all the benefits of it and say that it's a good thing. So maybe the bad side of it isn't really shown, and so the bad side to me is that if you go through gender, see the interesting thing for me is I started to realise not everyone goes through this gender reassignment surgery, right? So not everyone does that, and maybe not everyone takes the hormones even, I'm not sure. So I have very little issue with someone who decides I'm a man and I want to dress as a woman. I have very little issue with that. I don't see what the benefit is for them. But they're getting a benefit out of it. They're enjoying it. Maybe they like the attention. Maybe it feels comfortable. Maybe they get a bit of a kick out of it. Who knows? But I don't see anything genetic in wanting to dress as a woman. Every culture has different dress. So if they went and lived with another culture, would they want to have the rings on their neck to make them look like the other women? I don't know. But I don't see anything cultural about having a handbag and anything genetic about that, so I don't understand. There's so many things to this that are fascinating to me, right? and I'm going through a lot of them right now. But as a person that's interested in health, the surgeries and the hormone treatments are the things that are most interesting to me and most worrying to me. Any kind of surgery where you're removing organs, unless it's completely necessary, to me just doesn't seem right at all, ever. And we're talking about mastectomies where the breasts are being removed. It's traumatic. Like some women talk about, they go through a mastectomy, they can't lift their arm for weeks. Like it's not just taking off the breast, it's like destroying muscle and stuff like that. The body has to heal from that. I don't know exactly what the male thing is. Do they tuck the balls up inside? Do they take the balls off? Do they take the penis off? Do they tuck it up inside? I think they do all sorts of stuff to it, cut it in half, split it up, trying to turn it into a vagina. Well, it's never going to be a vagina, right? And what you're doing is you're taking away function. And I'm sure people are well aware of this when they're going into it, but you're taking away the function of the body. Like these organs that have these jobs to do, that are part of an entire system, keeping you healthy. And we've got this medical idea that we can just cut them up and cut them off. And to me that's totally wrong that you can do that and a person can remain healthy. I just don't see that being the case. And then the hormone treatments are dangerous to people. They increase people's chances of different diseases. And I don't know, it seems strange to me, but why, if the hormone treatments work to make the person more of the opposite gender, why not give them the opposite hormones to make them be more like the gender that matches with their body, so that they don't have to go through, like, why isn't that tried out? Maybe I'm missing something here. So I think that the surgeries are way more dangerous than people understand. I think they're not working for people in a lot of situations. I think that they're essentially a cosmetic surgery. They're not a medical thing. They're not getting rid of the issue of gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is what the condition was called, the distress that people had over the feeling that they were not in the body was not, was not right. And these things are very similar to other disorders. Body dysmorphic disorder, where people hate their body parts and want parts of their body removed. I see a strong connection there. Some of the people one of the guys that detransitioned, he was talking about when he started to research psychology, he realised that gender dysphoria was a combination of schizophrenia, body dysmorphic disorder, and a few other things I can't remember, but he that was his opinion on it. So that was his opinion. I'm not saying that that's right. And in a way that you would say to yourself, I understand people say, well, it's none of your business still, it's nothing to do with your body. I don't think that's a great argument. I mean, that doesn't mean I can't care about people or feel like they should be told the truth or whatever. I've looked at some information on some videos and stuff, and I don't know exactly what the truth is in all this. There's information on either side, and some people would say that either side has bad information. So on one side they're saying, well, the brains of transgender people are showing differences and are showing them to be more like the opposite sex, right? So that maybe that's true, maybe that's not. I don't know if they've researched enough people or really proved that. I don't know if they're trying to prove that, if there's like an agenda behind that. The opposite side to it is the kind of more right-wing Christian type groups, and they're basically saying, well, look, the first transgender clinic came out in the 1970s. They worked out that it didn't work and they closed down. They just said, this is not working. This is not helping people to have these gender reassignment surgeries and the hormone treatments. And what they found was that counselling was the best treatment. And there's a guy that for years was very successful in counselling transgender people, and some studies suggest that especially children, they go through feelings of gender dysphoria. The vast majority, we're talking like 80%, 90%, once they get a little bit older, they leave all that behind, right? They stop. And there's lots of people that I've met and talked to who have said, I used to feel like that, and I'm so glad that I didn't ever do anything about it, right? They just grew out of it. So the fact that we've now got children being put on this train is kind of worrying, because if the research is right that says that most children grow out of it, then it's a really bad idea. But why would you grow out of it? If this is a real medical condition that people need this help with, there's no growing out, there's no growing out of type 1 diabetes, or it's maybe not the best example, but type 1 diabetes, you don't grow out of it. But so if you had to do an operation on someone who was type 1 diabetic for some reason, you know that you should do it for a child because they're not going to grow out of it. But it's like they don't even know if people are going to grow out of it or not. And we don't know if they would be better off doing counselling or not. It's like there's not enough information. So why are we going ahead with these extreme operations? And why are we allowing it? It's really worrying to me. So there's all sorts of other sides to this that open up. It's like a weird, huge can of worms. What's interesting to me is a lot of people that are supporting this are, so we look at the politics and how it changes society and everything, it really gets kind of complex. Like, that's why it's not just about, it's not your body. Well, we all live together in a society, right? So I go to a restaurant now, or a club sometimes, and it's like, it doesn't say men and women toilets anymore. And it never said men, this is a weird thing, it never said men and women's toilets. It had a picture of a male body and a picture of a female body in a dress, right? And these separate spaces for men and women, as far as I'm aware, these are for the benefit of women. I mean, I think men are probably more comfortable being in a toilet with other men as well, but I think it's mostly for the benefit of women. And what we're seeing is toilets that say like urinals, non-urinals. And it's like, we don't want to offend people. We don't want to offend someone that's transgender, like the rare person. And what does that mean? Does that mean that I can go into the women's toilet now if I want to? I don't understand that, right? I don't think women want to see me in their toilet. I don't think women want to see men in their changing rooms, as far as I know. And this is where it gets weird, because I thought this was like people are going through these gender reassignment surgeries. A lot of them aren't, right? So they're just dressing as a woman. They're maybe taking the hormones, but they've still got their male body parts. And I don't know how many women I know are happy with going into the changing room and changing with someone and they're physically a man, And that's what some people have said to me, what about the Fruit Festival? Is this a safe place for trans people? And like, I'm not really thinking about that. Like, I'm thinking about, is it a safe place for children? Is it a safe place for young people, for women? Is it a safe place for everyone in general? Is everyone safe in a sense? But I don't think the women are going to be happy. I don't think a lot of the women are going to be happy if I put them in a room with someone that tells me that they're a woman, but physically they're not. I don't think people are going to be happy with that. So I don't know if that leads to offence or whatever, but that's what we have to deal with. And a lot of people say to me, they were never a man. Don't call them a man. They were never a man. Well, I don't know what other words to use to explain this. Like, are we not allowed to use the words that make sense? Like, if I say this person was a man, now they are a trans woman, people understand what that means. If you say this person's always been a woman, it's very confusing. When you meet the person, you're like, oh wait, it's not. Oh, all right, okay, it's a trans person. I need to believe that they were a woman when they were younger. So I don't know if any of my ideas come across as offensive to people or whatever, or turn you off or whatever, but I'm not particularly bothered about trying to toe the line on this and just be like, oh yeah, let's just support everyone doing whatever they want. I feel like I have a responsibility to set some kind of example for people, and my feeling is that there isn't any surgery that's going to improve your body. There isn't any surgery removing body parts that's going to change the way you feel and think about yourself.
and hormone treatments are dangerous for the body. I think they're an offence, an assault to the body. I think this whole procedure is an assault to the body, and I think that probably for a lot of people it would seem like counselling is probably the main thing, but maybe for some people it won't work. So I have no hatred for trans people, but I'm very sceptical about the medicalisation of their issue and some of the problems that will come from that, and the major regrets that are going to happen, and how this could ruin people's lives. So that's where I'm coming from. Thanks for watching the video. Please leave your comments below. Feel free to educate me or let me know more about this, and we'll see you more in another video.